Homelessness gets a lot of screen time. Movies, music, TV shows, even Broadway musicals. All love a good rags to redemption story. But how accurate are they really? Before dedicating my life to ending homelessness, I was a musician and a fledgling actor. My first degree is in fine arts. And while I quickly learned that there are many people in the arts with superior talent to me, I have not lost my love for the stage, music, and screen, both small and large. Today, we're diving into how homelessness is portrayed in pop culture, what those portrayals get right, what they get completely wrong, and why it matters more than what most people realize. Let's break it down. So there's a number of tropes that we keep repeating. The first is the tragic genius. Think the Soloist or the Matt Damon character in Good Will Hunting. The truth is, people experiencing homelessness often have remarkable stories. The problem, these portrayals suggest you need to be exceptional to be worthy of empathy. The impact, we focus sympathy on rare cases instead of fighting for dignity for all. Another trope, the down on the luck hero. Think the Pursuit of Happyness or Cinderella Man. The truth is, economic hardship can lead to homelessness. The problem, these stories often ignore structural issues like housing affordability and systemic racism. The impact of this, it reinforces the idea that homelessness is temporary and fixable by personal willpower alone. Then think about the tropes like the comic relief character or the scary stranger. That's everything from The Simpsons to how they portray homelessness in the likes of Law and Order. The problem is, these reinforce stigma, portraying people either as scary or silly, but never as completely complex humans. The impact is these portrayals can create public fear, justify police action, or dismiss real trauma. You might also think about things like the magical fix ending. The problem is, in too many movies, one act of kindness or a single lucky break solves everything. Reality is more complicated. There is no montage for housing applications. The impact is these stories erase the months or years of struggle and the systems required for long-term change. And then sometimes there's shelter or emergency accommodation as a redemption arc. Think of Les Mis. The problem is these portrayals over-romanticize shelter environments as sanctuaries instead of stepping stones. They make overcrowding, trauma, and underfunding, well, too real. What music gets right and music misses? Well, music has long been a mirror for hardship, but like film, it often oversimplifies. Think of things like Phil Collins' Another Day in Paradise. Or think of one of my personal favorites, Poison's Something to Believe in. These sorts of songs highlight despair and loneliness and the moral failure of society to care for its own. I also like more modern artists, people like Jason Isbell. Maybe It's Time from A Star Is Born, a great example. Grapples with grief and addiction and vulnerability in ways that doesn't sugarcoat it and doesn't blame. Or go back old school, look at poverty and housing instability, not necessarily homelessness. Things like Tracy Chapman's Fast Car, a quiet anthem of escape and economic struggle, still resonates today. Well, in all of this, music can tell stories that statistics never could. But it also needs to make room for voices with lived experience, not just reflections from the outsider looking in. Mental illness is shown as dangerous. It's one of the things that is most often wrong in entertainment. The reality is, people who are unhoused are far more likely to be victims of violence than commit it. We also often see that homelessness is caused by personal failure, when the reality is the number one driver of homelessness is lack of affordable housing, not laziness, not addiction, not lack of effort. Another thing that they portray is that recovery is always individual, when the reality is it can take systems, supports, income, and community to sustain housing. And yet another thing that we see in entertainment is that everyone who is homeless is unsheltered. The reality is many people are couch surfing, living in vehicles or doubled up without stability. Oh, And then there's also the myth that everyone who is housed is somehow fine. Many people live houseless, but not homeless in their identity. Culturally, spiritually, and, well, relationally, connection to place matters. So let's acknowledge some of the times that I say entertainment gets it right. Things like the Florida Project. It captures housing precarity, parenting, and survival without judgment. Or season 5 of The Wire, which illustrates the overlap between addiction, housing policy, and policing. Let's also talk to some of the entertainers who really put a spotlight on issues. People like Lady Gaga's advocacy, or the True Colors work of Cyndi Lauper, highlighting youth homelessness with nuance, especially for 2S LGBTQIA communities. That should definitely be recognized. Great portrayals don't try to fix people. They tell the truth about systems, and then they center the people surviving them. So why does this all matter? Well, pop culture shapes public perception, and public perception drives policy. If people believe homelessness is just the result of bad choices or mental illness or addiction, they're less likely to support real solutions like supportive housing, or different sort of rent regulation, or even wellness promotion and harm reduction. If we keep giving screen time to stereotypes, we reduce the humanity of people we're supposed to be housing. We don't just absorb these portrayals, we act on them. We legislate from them. We judge people by them. Art reflects life, but it also directs it. The stories we tell become the assumptions we live by. So what to look for as a viewer? Good question. If you want to spot a more accurate portrayal of homelessness, ask these questions. Does this story include structural causes? Are people with lived experience behind the scenes or on screen? Is the story centered on empowerment or pity? Does it end with realism or magic? Would a person who has experienced homelessness recognize themselves in it? And does this piece of media encourage compassion and action, or just momentary sadness? Some final thoughts on media portrayals of homelessness. Let's tell better stories. If you are a filmmaker, a musician, a writer, talk to people with lived or living experience. Consult, collaborate, include. If you're an advocate, challenge stereotypes when you see them. And if you're a viewer or a listener, ask yourself, is this portrayal helping or harming the way we understand homelessness? Because the stories we believe shape the future we build. Let's make sure that future is based on truth, not tropes. Subscribe for more real talk on homelessness, housing, and even, as it turns out, media stories that shape our understanding. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe. Bye for now.